Today we're going to make some aerated compost tea. Not the kind that you're going to sit down and drink, remember. This is the kind that we're going to apply to the plants in order to strengthen the soil and turn it back into a live organism filled with all kinds of bacteria and fungi and microbes that are really going to be doing all the work for you. We're making this tea in order to create a tea filled with bacteria. And it's the kind of bacteria that we really want for the soil to regenerate itself. The reason is because there's a relationship that gets established between the plants and the actual bacteria. The plants will provide some nutrients to the bacteria, and the bacteria in turn will break down the organic matter. And that organic matter will release the nutrients for the plants itself. Also, they help protect the plant against diseases. The way that we're doing this tea, and it's really important, I just have a plain old 5-gallon bucket of water, but the water has been dechlorinated. I put it through a filter and I let it sit out just in case there was any kind of chlorine, because chlorine actually destroys or kills any bacteria, so you don't want that. You could also use rainwater. If you have well water, that also works really well. But if you're in a city and you have a normal chlorine, then you need to put it through a filter, and if nothing else, at least let it sit out for a while. So my water's been chlorinated. The other thing I'm going to need is some soil or compost. The compost that I'm using could be from your old garden. You need at least a pound of compost in order for it to work effectively. And I have here a little over a pound for that 5-gallon drum of water. So that's fine. I don't need any more than that. The other thing we need to provide is food for the actual bacteria. And I'm using unsulfured molasses, about 2 tablespoons per the 5 gallons. The key is unsulfured, because any kind of sulfur that you have in it, that also go ahead and kills the bacteria. Now we're ready. We put in the compost, and I chose a bucket that had a little spout just because I found it more convenient to be able to latch onto it and be able to retrieve it later on. It also has a nice weight to it, and I'm going to take advantage of that weight, because the last thing we need to do is put some air in it. I just have a simple system, which it works for me. I'm just going ahead and I'm taking a couple of these and providing the air to them. Now, if you happen to have a diffuser, that's great. But if you don't, then you can also go ahead and put a stocking right over these lines so that the air is not too strong. The reason you want a diffuser is because the diffuser comes in and the water comes in, and you don't want to literally blow them out of the water. What happens is that if they get so much air, it can kill them. They're very delicate, some of this fungi and some of this bacteria. So by putting in the diffuser, it gently aerates the whole system without, killing them. So I'm going to put in the air hoses right through the spout, and I have only one diffuser with the stocking. Just want to show you how it works. I'm going to put one through here and the stocking through there. I'm just going to tie them down, and I'm actually going to anchor them all together with just a little twister for weight purposes, so that it gets all the way down at the bottom. I don't want it to be floating back up, because as the air goes into the tea, in order to keep it aerated, if we don't put any air in the tea, what happens is that it's an anaerobic, or without oxygen, and then consequently you're only going to get probably the bacteria growing on the very surface where there's oxygen, versus by bringing down the air all the way down at the bottom, it keeps the whole thing being aerated. The advantage is that then you can take this tea and dilute it down significantly, and you can water your whole garden. And you can do it once a week. There is no excess or anything like that. You can't over fertilize. You can see the air bubbles coming through it. And we'll just let it sit for about 24 to 36 hours. Remember that this tea has to be utilized within 2 hours of it being made. You shouldn't let it wait too much longer than that. But that's enough to create a lot of this bacteria to reproduce and things to get moving. This particular tea works really well for when you're doing actual vegetable gardens. If you want to do it for shrubs and things like that, then you have to make the same kind of tea, but then you have to turn around and allow a different process to go in. And we'll talk about that another time.